Hey friends, and welcome to Mom Talk Maryland. I'm your host, Claire Duarte, founder of the Columbia Mom, and this is your spot for real conversations, local love, and a whole lot of community. Whether you're folding laundry, running errands, or hiding in your car for some peace and quiet, let's dive in. I'm so excited to have you on the podcast, Yay. Lisa.
Thank you so much, Claire, for inviting me.
I'm trying to think, did I first meet you, was it this year or last year? Oh, actually, I lied. I met you at BWN a few years ago.
Yeah, a few years ago. I think we have a similar friend.
Yes.
So that was nice.
Yeah.
I think we met real quick.
I've
gotten to know you this year. Yeah.
Okay. But was it earlier this year or was it in the fall when we started working out together?
I think, I think just in the spring.
In the spring?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I know.
Look at that little friendship that just...
I know, because I started working out where we were working out right now, but I did a lot of the 8 a.m. classes because it's just what I needed for my own lifestyle, my nervous system to relax. And as I got back into lifting, which I was very consistent with 1 day of strength lifting a week for, at least a year. And then I was really consistent with 2 days a week for at least 2 years.
Yeah.
And then I was really trying to build up to my 3 days a week of heavy lifting. And then once I just got really comfortable with the 2 days a week, I then started pushing it to the 6 a.m. because I actually prefer to get up early. Because it works for my life. I have, just where I am with a teenager and almost another teenager, I sleep and... I can do a 6 a.m. class, and then I can really be more consistent with 3 days a week. So that's been that was my goal, my really intentional goal with weightlifting for this year was to get to 3 days a week. But I wanted to first do it at that 8 a.m. time where I could just build that consistency before then I push myself to go earlier.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your business and what you do, and then don't worry, we'll nerd out hard about working out in a second, but let's start with that first.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
So I own Evolving with Motion. It's physical therapy and wellness coaching. And I started back in August of 21 after my own burnout journey. From the healthcare field. And I just decided to start doing something different and being able to provide women and partner with women with hip and back pain, a way to move with intention and not intensity through their journey. So I really provide physical therapy for people who are looking for it differently and provide them with strategies that work for their season of life, and I really want to ask them what matters to them and give them the information that they can take with them and actually implement in their life.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and tell us what your actual education and background is.
Sure. So, fun fact, I've only ever worked in physical therapy since I was 17. I worked for 1 week at a shoe store, and that's about the extent of my...
Wait, I just have to, now knowing this about you, I just have to quickly tell this story. Because my husband's a dentist, and when he was a little kid, he said, I want to be a dentist. He's only he's never, I say you're not a real person because you've never had a real job. Because he in high school and college, the summers he would work for the dental office, and then he went to dental school and then became a dentist. And I was like, you're just not a real person.
Yeah. So I'm just that not real person.
Right,
so
exactly.
It's been great. I was really lucky. I knew by the time I was probably 8 or 9 that I wanted to do physical therapy.
That's so cool.
I was just a really awkward person. I just really like to find people. We're from a kinesthetic family, so we're very open to touch and hugs and stuff like that. And I would hug, and I was just this feels like a spot that could be sore, and I would touch it, and they're just oh, that feels so good. So I would just give massages to my family members, when
That's
just
so
to
cool.
their shoulders and stuff. And then I just got really comfortable with that, and so I decided And then I was an athlete, so I played 3 sports in high school. I played travel sports. And with that, I became friends with the athletic trainer at our high school. And she told me that there was a physical therapy technician job right in Clarksville. So I took that job and I got to work there all my summers and winter breaks. But I went to school for athletic training first. So I was first an athletic trainer. And I did that for a few years. Then I got my master's in athletic training and I worked like with the baseball team and cross country team. And then the nights and weekends just got to me. So I was like, well, let me just go ahead and do
on more school.
Physical therapy school. Because at that point I was after I graduated from my master's, wasn't working for the colleges anymore. I was working for like a hospital-based system. So I was still working as like return to sport. So I would be the liaison for the kids, like they were done with physical therapy, but they were getting back to sport and they weren't quite confident with that like return to sport. So I started working there, but again, I was still athletic training. So I would still go out to the fields on, nights and weekends. And eventually I wanted to have a family. So I went back to PT school, and during PT school, I became pregnant with my child. And it led me down this road of women's health. So then I really became passionate about women's health, but not just like hips. Like I would say probably hips and low back drove me there. Right. But it was really the whole emotional journey of like having a child, being in physical therapy school, and looking for that kind of support and being a high achieving woman. And like when I was going to be, I'm air quoting right now, off from having a child, I was going to actually excel and like get ahead on my studies for like next semester. And I was going to like get my house cleaned and in order. And then I was given a child who just screamed all the time. And I was very highly frustrated with myself. And wondering why like breastfeeding was so challenging and anyway, all the things. And I was, after I could like really reflect on I had a minute. I was just like, oh my gosh, how much support that women need in this area. And so this was before virtual was like even a thing, but I was always thinking we were like getting this FaceTime thing. And I was like, there needs to be a way that women can get support without you coming into their home, because I was like, I don't want you to come in my house. My house is like a hot mess. But I don't want to leave with this colicky, screaming child. Like, but I need help and I don't know how to get this help. And it was like just always on my mind. So unfortunately it took a long time, but during the pandemic, I was finally able to start doing some virtual stuff, which was really supportive. But I know that it helped a lot of women being able to like receive the support, and not just women who were postpartum, like women of all ages, like especially at that time, women who were really scared to leave the house, but it's like, we still need help. So, and they could still receive it. So anyway, that was a little bit of my journey, but anyway, so I do orthopedic, women's health, physical therapy. So that's where it's led me. And then recently I got my certificate in therapeutic coaching.
That's right. And so now are all of your clients virtual, or do you still do some in person?
I do mostly in person.
That's what
I do mostly in person. But I do have a virtual component, which I do a lot of my coaching with as well.
That's awesome. Well, and then like on the personal note, like I loved when you shifted into 6 a.m. I've been at 6 a.m. for probably the last year and a half, I would say.
Nice.
And we both train at Odyssey Strength and Strength and Conditioning. And it's funny because I'm actually it'll be 2 years in October.
Yay!
I know. It's crazy. But
that'll be like my 1 year there.
Isn't that funny?
So exciting. For both of us.
A couple of the other girls in the group. But when I started, I was also like the 8 or 9 o'clocker. But also like my kids were younger. My business was in a different season. I didn't have as many demands, so I could, I was trying to honor my sleep. And then, but then I was like, I have too much things during the day. And I've always, even though during the winter I might not love getting up at 5, I was like, it's done when I'm on with my day.
Yeah, because we're in just a different season, where we are trying to honor our sleep, and like we now understand where we can push our bodies.
Exactly. Well, and I've kind of like I love our friendship because we've had like such like a little girl crush on you.
Yeah.
We've had like so much fun in the gym together.
So much fun.
So much fun. To the point that like when I first met you and I was like, oh, look at this, like, you know, really tall, like strong girl. And to be honest, like I was like, your energy was really fun. I mean, I love that energy, but I got excited because not that I was in no way like plateauing at the gym. I've always been steadily growing, but up to that point, there was no other women that were stronger than me.
Yeah.
So I was like among the group, which again, this has its own accolades, like the strongest one in the group. But to a degree, I personally felt like when you were there, even if like now we like really hardcore cheer each other on, but when you first started, it didn't necessarily start directly or very outwardly like that. But it really pushed. It really pushed me, and so mentally, I started to like, oh God, I really hope she's coming, because I really did feel that sense of drive, and not in the competitive way of like, oh, I gotta not competing, but I'm like, okay, she's definitely lifting heavier than me. Let's fucking go. Like, let's do this, you know? And I was like, and not that I wasn't challenging it, because obviously our coaches definitely challenge us. But it just, I don't know, it kind of like, it energized me. I was like, oh yeah, I got really excited. And then obviously we're two silly little gooses. And I kind of love it. But I think that's, you know, we've talked about this, and that's kind of why I wanted you here today, to talk about not just PT, but women's health and strength. And frankly, like, this is sort of my question to you, but what I wanted to talk about is like why women should kind of be obsessed with strength, and why they should fall in love with it.
Oh, yes. Why should they fall in love?
Yes.
How has your confidence increased, Claire, from like lifting heavier? I mean, you have good confidence. Let's be honest.
It's gotten better though. It's probably gotten more annoying.
Great.
Yeah.
I love that for you, right?
I mean, you know, too, with like my own health journey, right? I've been taking some more supplements and things to support like my thyroid, which are coincidentally also helping my strength journey. But those aren't just the reasons why. But no, I mean, like, I feel like I've learned so much about strength and conditioning, really. Yeah. Especially as it means for a woman in my health. But as for my confidence, no, that's the other reason why I work out first thing in the morning. It feels like, you know, I know that's not the hardest thing of my day, but I feel like if I can lift heavy shit first thing in the morning, like I can handle.
Right. All the other heavy shit you're going to handle for the day. Yeah. Right. Like once I've proven to myself that I can handle this heavy shit. Yes. Everything else it's fine. It's heavy shit. Who cares? I lift it up. I put it down. We move on. Like, that's it.
Say the quote that you said, it was like a week or two ago. And I love
the one with like, pick a weight that's going to push you down and challenge you to get back up. Right? That's how we grow. That's how we grow. Literally. And we also grow when we start to practice in our body what we're looking for in our life. That's just my philosophy. Like, if you're looking for more balance, practice balance. If you're looking to like get a stronger back and like stand up for yourself, go practice some strength. Like you got to practice strength because you got to practice being strong.
It's not just in one area of your life. No. You know, I mean,
you got to practice in everywhere, right? Like you are a coach, you've been a coach. Like, you know, like if you're looking to like gain more trust wherever, you got to focus on that trust. And you can focus on it physically, emotionally, mentally, all the ways.
Yeah. Well, and I think there's so many metaphors, but you're right. It's like, actually, even when you just said trust, it's kind of like I'm thinking, you know, in a moment where, we were doing these presses the other day, and it's kind of
our legs. Okay, we have to. It's a strict press. Strict.
I have gotten better.
Strict arms. Better. You have.
But when we would start, I would like, I swear to God, I hope he turns around so I can just give the micro knee bend that I want to give this. But it's just mentally thinking like, okay, like, you know, I remember thinking to myself, like, I don't know if I can get this all the way up. And sometimes you can't. And that's okay. It's a challenge.
It's a challenge, and you fail and you move on.
Right.
I have a huge fear of failure. Like the first time I actually dropped weights, I was so scared to make noise. I was so scared to be loud and that I can't lift, I can't do it. I'm failing.
Yeah.
Like that was scary to me. And then I could recognize, oh my gosh, I have a freaking fear of failure. Like this is just dropping weights in the gym. This is what people do. But I was so scared of that, right? And being a business owner, guess what you do all the time?
Oh, we drop
we fail
all the time.
And it's like,
all the time.
Okay, we fail, we move on. And it's okay. Like we don't have to celebrate it, but we can give it time to be sad. And then we simply then have a different choice.
Yeah.
Like, what are we going to move on to next?
Well, and the other thing that I kind of liked about that too is like, guess what? Like, if whether we decreased or stayed the same, whatever, guess what? I get excited because I'm like, I have another opportunity to lift it again.
Yes.
And whether it's in that same day or just next time.
Yeah.
And that's
amazing.
That's okay. You get another opportunity. And, and actually I kind of think like watching even you, like when you've momentarily had a harder day or whether it was mentally or not feeling well, or like I'm just choosing to go a little bit lower and honoring yourself, like that, you didn't even know that you were modeling that for me. So that because there was even a day last week, I didn't necessarily come in, not in a bad attitude or anything like that, but you even just like, it's okay, just go a notch lower or whatever. And it was one of those things like I needed to be told that, otherwise I might have just kind of gone and pushed myself, but I had a better lift because of that.
Great.
Do you know what I mean?
I do. And then guess what? You could show up then the next day.
And that's okay.
Stronger.
Because I was able to have a good lift, not only did I obviously feel really confident in what I did, but it was like I'm going to get the benefits of a good lift as opposed to just trying to always go hard and fast,
Because lifting is not a destination. It is a constant journey that you're going to go on. And circling back to like, why do I think women should lift and talking about confidence, huge. I also just want to say like, I'm a 5'7" woman, like right at 205. I say I'm like what you would think of a football player and cheerleader got together. I am the prodigy of that. Okay. I have big shoulders. I have a big chest.
Celebrate that.
I celebrate it. And so like weight's an issue, but it's not for me. I think lifting just gives you something else to focus on. Like,
it does.
It's not about
really does.
And I did start taking a GLP about a year ago. And that's helped me lose like 45 pounds, which is great. Cause that makes
you look phenomenal. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. That helped my lifting game like strengthen. Right. But I was lifting before that. Right. And so I just think lifting and just feeling strong inside your body, owning who you are. Yeah. It just gives you a different thing to focus on. Like it's not always about the calories and like, I am totally happy if women want to do it for aesthetic reasons. That's fine. Awesome. Yeah. And that's fine. I do think that strengthening just gives you something else to go for that. You're like, oh, I really want to lift this weight. Like my goal right now is to do a 300-pound deadlift. And it's like, what do I need to get there? I need to make sure I'm really prioritizing my protein in the right way, that I'm recovering. I'm also resting and I'm focusing on my movement technique. Those are the things I focus on, not, and this is, again, personally for me, because I'm not concerned about the aesthetics. I took a GLP because I had too much visceral, which means stomach fat. Yeah. And I know that's not going to be supportive for my 95-year-old body. Like, that's not going to get me to be the age of 95. Yeah. So I want to support my organs. In order to do that, I need to lose visceral fat. I couldn't do it. I was doing a lot of stress management techniques. And I just felt like I had this open pipe of cortisol just like flowing into my system.
Women's health and hormones is a
whole thing, right? Yes. And so this medication has helped me do that and then get down to a weight that feels a lot more sustainable to me and help me move inside my body with more ease. But I already had the lifestyle stuff before I started taking it.
And you had a lot of knowledge and know-how of that factor into the nutrition piece and all those things. So it boils down to it being a tool.
Yeah, it's a tool that we have as modern women in 2025 dealing with a lot more stuff than we've had to deal with differently in the past. But so yes, why do I think strength training is important? I think it gives you something just different to focus on if you intend for it to be that way, right? That you have like, I want to do a pull-up, like I want to do 10 pull-ups. I want to do this and you start thinking of, for me, because I've had issues with food and all of that.
For sure.
All of that, whatever that means. We all have our
trauma that we sweep under the rug.
Yes, we all have our own food things.
Oh, yeah.
And that's for a different day. But it has helped me, right? I first looked at it as fuel, but also just as this beautiful thing that's in my life that I have the privilege to be able to consume in order to get me to a destination that I would like to get to. Yeah. And then I will change that destination, but it will be, strengthening will be a forever journey for me.
Absolutely. Well, and I feel like I have also, maybe outside of like high school, but I wasn't like a high level high school athlete, but I did play soccer, all through high school, college, I was no longer an athlete, but I got into like running a little bit, and then in my 20s, I've always enjoyed working out. It was obviously all vanity driven, which is, again, fine. It was helping me show up, but I was, I definitely had as we all do, a long history of unhealthy eating patterns, behaviors, and all the mental psyche that kind of comes along with that. So there was a lot of education, healing, and time that had to come with that too. So I think it's been a big evolution for me. And wasn't until a couple of years ago I started working with a macro coach because I wanted to learn that and how much that helped shape, that side of things for me. But she was the one that really pushed me into strength. And at the time, cool. So that was like 2022, I want to say January 2022 is when, because I prior then I was like, I'm a recovering cardio junkie. Cardio addict, if you may, because who doesn't love that rush? Who doesn't love
Not me,
that?
But I love that for you. I played volleyball in college, and that was great. I wasn't here to run.
Well, soccer is like, and again, like it kind of like short. I was not midfield, so I was goalie, so or defense. Defense. So you get the short sprints. Short bursts. But no, I mean, like, because it's easy to get into, a lot of those different gyms that have those kind of classes. That's very HIIT style. Yes. And that's still a very effective form of training,
Absolutely.
And that's actually per, like, some of my metabolic testing, like, I should be integrating. That shouldn't be my primary, but I should integrate that to kind of have some optimal. Do I want to? Not necessarily, but
right now.
Yeah.
Right now, right?
Yeah,
like, this is a choice
capable.
For right now. Yeah.
But anyway, so I feel like as I myself have, learned just, obviously I've done a lot of different things. We had a Peloton bike for a while, and I loved that because, you know what I mean? But then when I started working with my macro coach, I switched into doing more of the Peloton strength workouts, and that's where I kind of started getting more consistent with that.
Nice.
So then when I met Nico, I had been maybe doing like the strength training at home for maybe like a year and a half-ish, but I'd also been, doing other different things from like boot camp and, all kinds of different like classes that were really, just, fun. I liked working out. But then when I started at Odyssey Strength and Conditioning, I was like, for me, I was like, this is how you should train.
This is how you do it. This is how we strength train.
Obviously what they're doing is amazing. Yes. And their style of everything. But for me, I had worked out at home for years, obviously having like little kids. Yeah. But that was no longer working for me because I felt like, like when I'm at home, I feel kind of like too pulled into my environment. Like I'm not as good. At least at this time in my life, I'm not good at separating.
That's right.
Like I think it worked for a while until it didn't.
Yeah.
You know what I
mean?
Like,
and it got you where you are today.
Yeah.
And so we respect that woman because that's what got me to where I am today. Yeah. Because when I was a healthcare worker and working crazy hours with crappy boundaries and taking work home with me, I'm so grateful I foam rolled. I'm so grateful I did my rehab exercises every night.
Right.
And I'm so grateful that I kept moving, and I took between 10 and 30 minutes for me a few nights a week to literally practice doing different things, so that when my sister-in-law invited me to join her CrossFit gym, I was scared AF, man. Like I was so scared. I was like, oh gosh, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
And then I stayed with it for 7 months, and then I started implementing like on the other days, like some boot camp. And just really where the gym was, it was just too far for like, you know, it just didn't work with my schedule at that time because I needed I couldn't do the 6 a.m. class. I just wasn't there in my life. And so I'm really grateful for that gym to get me back into it and just show me that I really liked lifting heavy things. And then from there, I actually stayed with a personal trainer who did it virtually for 2 years. And I worked on my, like, I worked on my form. And then I started getting to this strength that I was like, I don't want to be lifting this heavy by myself because I did injure myself.
And that's also partly how I also didn't have, I think my weights go up to like 50. I didn't have, and I was like, this point, it's either a crossroads of either like I'm buckled down but I was like, I'm clearly not working well by myself and I needed higher equipment. So
and so I really loved working with my personal trainer for 2 years and like really focusing on my form, but I was getting to that weight that I was like, I need somebody here with me because I don't feel safe because I did injure myself. Crazily. And it was a different story. But anyway, I did rehab from it. I got better. That's it's a injury that I've had since I was like 22. So I've had I've gone through chronic pain for for a hip and back, which is what kind of led me here.
Right.
But when I started really strength training heavy, like a lot of that stuff ended up going away for my pain. And I also, when I was doing personal training virtually by myself, I was like, I just miss the social aspect. So it was the safety, the social aspect, being around awesome women like you and the other gal pals and the couple guys that are there.
Boys,
we allow them to come in.
Exactly.
But Women's Weightlifting Wednesday.
That's right.
We kind of, own the gym.
Okay. We do. We really do. And I kind of love that we have taken over a little bit, and that kind of makes my woman heart sort of happy to see. And I, as obviously, I've been able to see that gym specifically grow, but I love seeing the demographic of the women in the age group they're bringing too, because I'm like, that means that I love seeing that they value it to come, because that's the other, I think, point that I'm sort of pushing, that I know that you value, is just literally training for life. And I think being once, for me, in the 2 years that I've been there, I finally clicked for me. I was like, because I feel like year one, I was like, oh, I really like this style of training. And I was like, this makes sense. This is how I'm really going to progress in my strength and blah, blah, blah. And then kind of now I'm like, oh, not only is this how I'm going to get strong, but I was like, this is how I'm training. I'm not exactly saying for the rest of my life, but I was like, I am going to be strength training for the rest of my life.
That's right. In one way or another. Yeah. Somehow.
Because now, I think I even told you, there was an example of I was literally in the basement, playing with the kids, doing something, and I don't know, I lost my balance, and and I tripped and fell, and I will say it did hurt like a mother, and I was like, oh crap, I might have actually sprained this, is it, the shooting pain was really bad, and I did the thing where yes, and the kids were like, are you okay, mommy? And I'm close, and literally had to close my eyes there for a while, and I was and I was just breathing through it, and then I'm then eventually I felt okay, and I rolling my ankle out, and then I stood up, and I was like, and, again, I think I was very lucky that I fell the way I did, fell on carpet and things like that. But I did say to myself the next day, I was like, I'm so glad that I've been training the way I have been. Yeah. Because I was strong enough to catch myself. That could have been a way worse injury.
Yeah. Right, because we're going to fall in life.
We're going to fall.
And again, as a PT, I should be like, oh, prevent falls. No, by telling people to prevent so many things, we're limiting people from living life. We're fear-mongering, not on purpose, not with intention. I don't think any PT is out there doing any, harm. But it's every time we say, don't do this, or a healthcare professional says, stop, don't lift heavy things, or they don't say for now. They just say that, period. And it's just for now. Yeah. And then start to hire somebody who can help you get back to that, because we just keep limiting people's life by telling them, let's not be too scared to fall. Okay, how about we prepare our body to fall? Right. Because we're going to travel the world, and there's cobblestones. We're going to get on and off of buses, and we're going to trip, and we're going to fall. So let's train our body for when shit happens. And that we know how to actually get back up. And if we are physically broken, that's okay. We're going to have recovery tools that we know. And we're going to have a team that a team that could be your medical provider, a physical therapist, whatever, coach, personal trainer, massage therapist, whatever you decide, acupuncture, like you go, all of it. That's going to help you get back, that you can ask for that kind of help, because if you want to have an awesome, adventurous life, like, and you want, I'm just guessing a lot of people listening to this are connectors, like they want to connect with people,
they want to
in our community, in our county, in our state, and in the world. Like, we want to do really cool things. We want to experience stuff. I'm not saying you need to go jump off and like do crazy dives. I'm just saying like you want to get on and off like passenger buses, and you're not used to the concrete that's under your feet, or stuff's going to happen. So like,
accidents, weird things going to happen. You can have the best supported shoes in the world, but the ground's going to be uneven, or it's going to be slippery, or it's going to be wet, or you're going to miss a step, or accidentally not hold the guardrail. Like, that's a part of what life is. And let's train. Let's like, when we're not doing cool adventuring things, let's train for the life, and like, so we can do a strict press and lift our our luggage overhead, because you can't bend your knees there because there's not enough, room in the aisle. That's right. That's well, and when I talk to people too, like, about working out, I was like, I use the word, I'm sure you do too. It's like the functional training of like, we do the farmer's carries, and I was like, that's so I can carry my big ass luggage, or my groceries, or my kid when I throw them on my hip. You know what I mean? And I was like, that's such like a real thing. You know what I mean? And be able to carry things overhead, and
and not be scared. That's the biggest thing, is that I think there's so many women that I work with who are scared of the future problems that are going to happen because they choose to do this hike. They choose to do this carrying something today, that they worry about what tomorrow brings. Like, is my stupid back or my stupid hips going to do?
I can't do this because I'm going to be so tired.
Okay, just listen. I don't want you to call anything of your body stupid. It is not stupid. It has been around this earth how many times? I mean, around the sun. It's been on this earth for so long, around the sun. It has done incredible things. It is never stupid. It is never bad. It is absolutely perfect the way it is. And it hurts, and it wants you to listen to it. So, and it's okay to be scared to do a certain thing. If you are scared to do a certain thing, then I encourage you to go get help and help that person. And I understand how scary it is, because unlike Claire, and I would not say I'm as good as Claire about receiving feedback, right? Because going to these people, like when you go to a nutritionist, it might be a lot for you to receive feedback, right? Of like, it may be perceived of what you're doing, quote unquote, wrong, but that's not what it is. So go get support for what you're looking for. Get real specific about like, what are you scared to do or not doing? Maybe you're not scared, but you're like, I'm just avoiding that.
Yeah. Or it can feel just overwhelming to even put into action. Yeah.
But how much does it really feel? Like, how terrible does it feel to say no to something when your heart is jumping for joy? And it's like, I want to go on that hike, but I'm so scared. Like, but my stupid back's going to hurt tomorrow. Well, it just breaks my heart. Or when your kid says like, Mom, do you want to go throw the ball? And you're like, I can't because my stupid shoulder still hurts. And it's like, it's not stupid, but like, you can go get help for that, because I know you want to go play with your kid. Right. Like, I know you do, because you know that your kids aren't going to ask for that forever.
No, exactly.
And I know it hurts your heart a little bit. So go get help. It doesn't have to be as time consuming and overwhelming. Right. It just doesn't. No. It doesn't have to be that way at all.
And I think for other women too, like sometimes it might be easy for me to like think like, oh, I'm training because I want to be able to keep up with my kids, which is true because they are younger, right? They're 5 and 6. Yeah. But, and even you would definitely still want to keep up with your kids, even if you're not like chasing them per se. You are, toting them around and want to mentally, emotionally keep up with their sports and kind of be their cheerleader and model. But then I also think down the road too, it's like, well, I want to be an active grandparent, God willing.
That is what I want. Yeah. I've always said that. So like, what motivates me is my 95-year-old self who is doing Ring Around the Rosie with all the children in my life, whoever those children are. They could be neighbors, they could be grandchildren. I don't know. But I want to be able to fall down in the grass, laugh, and probably ask for help up, but whatever. I want to be able to like do that. And she's the woman who motivates me to like do the thing. But I know her so intimately, so I'm always training for my old lady body. Because like, just like being in the grass, I just think being 95, like, you kids don't even know what grass is. Right. Are they outside? But I hope they are, and I hope to be that type of woman who's still taking kids, playing with them outside, when their parents are probably overwhelmed. Right. That I can be like, let's go be with a crazy woman.
Oh, like I want to give, my kids a break, and I can, I'll take them for the weekend, and I'll have the energy. Yes. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. I want that energy too. Yeah. And it is why I do it, because family is really important to me. Yeah. And I don't also want to put pressure on my kids that will happen. But it's just like the kids. I am a kid at heart. I think you are too. Yeah.
Yeah,
we're over children.
I know. We try to be big adults, but
I try to pretend like I'm an adult.
I know. Oh, efforts are made.
Efforts are.
They're not always successful.
Yeah, like these conversations we have to have with our children. I'm like, I'm going to be an adult. I got to be your mom right now. We got to talk about this, right?
I love that.
I'm like, okay, I can do it. And it's not the conversation you probably think, but it's just like,
right, exactly.
It's just like, I'm like, all right, well, we just have to do this. We have to have these conversations.
So, okay, wait, because you know this field a little better, you probably know whether it's a stat or whatever, but also talking about why strength is even, I think, more important for women than for men, because we're talking about our bodies and the percentage of, like, say, muscle mass and bone mass that we have, because that decreases
after the age of 35. Yes.
And I'm 37.
Yeah. And so our muscle mass and our bone mass starts to decrease. We call muscle wasting. That's a terrible word, but it's called sarcopenia. And that is a real thing. So our muscles just starts to
and this happens for men too?
They have testosterone. So it's just they have a 24-hour cycle. We have a 28 to 35-day cycle. So our hormones are simply different. And as I told you, it's like women are not small men. We are different. And so our muscles start wasting. And in order for our bones to grow and to be stronger, we have to test our muscles. Our muscles our tendons and stuff have to pull on the muscle for the muscle to grow. It's called Wolf's Law, WOLFE, for all of you nerds who are out there.
Exactly.
Wolf Law. But it's just giving that bone some feedback. So when our muscles get big, it starts pulling on the bone, which makes the bone get more dense and stronger. Right. So strength training is really important.
Right.
For our bones. And that's what keeps our bones healthy. So when we fall, hopefully we will not break our bone. Now we might tear ligaments or tendons. Other things absolutely happen. And no matter whether you're strengthening or nothing is your fault. Like if this happens to you, it is okay. Like it is not your fault. Like this is what life happened. You're not going to change it. It's okay. That's okay. Get a support team.
It's also okay if you are someone that's listening and if you've never picked up a weight in your life, it's okay. I would love to, and this is in no shame, I would love to encourage you to start. It's not too late. Whether you're 30, 60, or 70, it's not too late, Yes, I mean, will someone's muscle mass look different if you've been training from their whole life up until 95 versus starting later? Yeah, of course that'll look different, but it's not comparing. You think about, and I do, like, I feel like this last year I can now be like, okay, I'm training for life. I want to be strong for life. I want to, for when the falls happen, I can brace myself. I can, that the recovery won't be as long.
That's right.
And,
that you learn even how to understand your own pain, that you understand what the difference of like muscle soreness is versus actual pain. Like this isn't healthy for me to do today. That's okay. And then you start to get this better relationship with your body and how you respond.
Exactly. Well, and you know this too from your own injuries, but I mean, last year I had a back spasm that I could have felt that at home. I mean, in a weird way, luckily the first one that I had happened at the gym, and there's no way to know for certain, did it happen because I was in poor form? I think that's part of it. Did it happen because my core wasn't as strong? I think that's part. There's no singular thing, right?
Right.
But having that happen, and and I've already been working out at this specific gym for at least a year and a half. I'm actually so glad it did.
Yeah.
And because when I I obviously went to PT and did treatment and dry needling. But when I was able to safely return back to the gym, we created, a very customized plan to help me kind of like keep rehabbing safely alongside all of that. Yeah. And I eventually did need to get dry needling again another like 5 or 6 months later. Yeah. And another it's like little batch of that. But
it's a great tool.
I'm actually so glad for this journey of strength training, because it's kind of like your metaphor of like, pick up heavy stuff to that pulls you down to bring it back up. So because I felt, yes, I was getting stronger, and I got to the point where something didn't break.
That's right.
It didn't break.
That's right. We don't want that.
That's pretty amazing, right? I mean, a spasm is not fun.
Right.
It's kind of like, your lightning bolt. And it was kind of, in a way, it was like a little bit of a wake-up call, because, hey, it forced us to realize a weak area, which for me is my lower, even though ironically I'm very lower strong. Yeah. Let the cameras just show down here. Don't look up here. So it was good, because it woke me up a little bit. I was like, no, I'm very strong down here. That's kind of odd, but it like is my form always intact? Yes, it tuned my trainers were not neglecting me whatsoever, but it just their attention to that helped remind me, so they were always correcting my form. But I needed that extra reminder, because my default setting was probably not in good form, which is also a good reason to potentially, if you are lifting heavy, to be training in the presence of others.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it is safer. Yeah. Not just, people think safety and think spotters, and it's not always just that. No.
It's actually, and making sure you're okay to receive feedback, and that's the hardest thing for so many of us, right? Meaning me, is to receive that feedback. Not in lifting. I'm okay. I love receiving it in lifting, but just in other aspects,
right, exactly,
of our life, that we have to get comfortable receiving this feedback so we can grow. But yes, exactly. Like, you want that weight to push you down, that challenges you to get up, because you can feel kind of your weak spots.
Yes,
and that's not a bad thing, because guess what are you doing? So the World Health Organization recommends 2 days a week of full body strengthening. That's it. 2 days, full body. Okay. Yeah. So that's what they recommend. And that means you have 5 other days that you can be working on those weak spots. So you can be doing specific things to help the range of motion, the coordination, the strength of those specific muscles, maybe 2 other days a week. Right. Now, again, you can also break down strength training into multiple days. So you're doing 20 minutes. So you're focused on shoulders and then on your back and then your legs and your core. So you can do it however you want. This is just what the World Health Organization recommends. So I'm just letting you know, the reason you can work on these other things is because actually we do have more time, to work on this. So you can, when you have those little weak spots, you're like, oh, okay. Right. I can have space. This isn't an everyday thing that I have to do.
Well, and another accolade to that too is like going through that injury. Like, I'm sure you can relate to this too. If like anybody that's gone through an injury, again, I didn't break anything. I didn't have to have surgery, so this was not what I would call any kind of. It was major enough for me in the rehab that I needed to do. But I remember I was bummed. I was like, oh, I can't. Go to the bigger stuff right away. And so it took me probably 4 to 6 weeks to kind of get to work back up. And then once we were at 6 weeks, it wasn't like I was exactly back at zero. I was just kind of okay, I can kind of be at a higher functioning state, which was sort of below where I was, but at least, okay, now I can really go for it.
That's right.
But I could do it safely. I could do it with correct form and a stronger core. Yes. And so sometimes things have to break. Even if because there's a couple, again, we don't know that my back was broken before is it possible that it was sort of weak, or was it possible that I just it doesn't really matter, but sometimes things have to break or fall apart you can build it stronger. Because now I have better awareness around that. And
can we drop the mic?
Yeah, right.
Mic drop.
And when it started and I felt it coming back, and I remember feeling annoyed. I'm like, well, I just rehabbed all of this, and I've been focusing on my core, and I've been focusing on my strength, and I've been doing the right things. And I remember feeling frustrated. Yes. But it's okay, because, I went back to my toolkit. went back to PT, went back to, did some dry needling. And I haven't done dry needling in a year and a half.
Yay!
You know? And
right. But it's there if you need to.
And that's okay.
Stress is going to build up in our life.
Right.
Whether it's emotional stress, physical stress, it's going to build up and our body will feel it.
Right.
And it's going to feel it before we might acknowledge it.
Right. Right. No,
so we will then break metaphorically, physically again. And that's why this is a journey. It's a constant journey to go on, because you're going to have these times that you don't want to be aware that stress is building up so much in your life. And you're going to go too heavy and you're going to go, and it doesn't even mean at the weight room. It means you're going to go too heavy, getting off of a plane and then going home and cleaning your closet, like one of my clients.
Or like you're moving a piece of furniture.
Exactly.
Like you're just, sometimes
you're just like actually moving, like you're moving across country and you're just like, I'm just going to keep pushing through this. I'm going to keep pushing through it. And you're going to push through because you're a human and you're a go-getting woman. Like that's going to happen and you're going to break. So it is an opportunity to slow down and actually work on that thing in a holistic way from all the things. Like,
well, and oh God, I feel like we could sit here and talk forever and ever and ever. But it's just, I mean, I think our biggest takeaway is, you know, for our women and moms, like, whether you're at home, whether you're at a gym, like, you know, I don't care if you like, I think we can both agree, like, we like picking up weights to look good, to feel good, and I always tell, ego. I need it for my ego.
Okay,
you know,
all right, being an entrepreneur is not ego boosting.
No. It's ego erasing.
It is. Oh gosh.
It is
and
ego
so like
erasing.
you have to we have to live
that's why we start the day.
Yes.
Well, and that's the other thing, and I do notice the days that I mean, obviously, like, I mainly get to see you. We get that. We're very extroverted, a little bit. A little. But again, for me, why working out like in person in this environment is because I'm not on my phone. And we pick it up here and there if we need it or something like that. But
mostly it's a video or
mostly,
ego.
But it's like to document. Like, look at what I just did. But
for those big numbers,
I can we can be present and focus on that, and it kind of forces me. Like, I don't have to worry. I mean, we might talk about it, you know, but I don't have to focus on work. I don't have to focus on the stressors. I can just focus on me, what I'm capable of, and it's just me versus me right now.
Yeah.
And
or me with me.
With me.
Yeah, that's it.
You know?
Because we won't have this version of myself again. So I'm just going to be with me.
Like, you know, like I think that's where we can wrap. Is like, you know how they say, like, I'll never be as young as I am today. You could almost say that about strength, but I think that's a cool thing because I'm actually going to get stronger.
Yeah. But actually,
you know what I mean? As opposed
And you just have to, however you want to look at strength. It can be the number on there, but it can be also in the flexibility and the range of motion you have. It can be in the amount that you can balance. It can be in the amount that you can pull your own stuff up, right? You might see it just in different aspects of your life. It doesn't always have to be what's on the metaphorical bar or the dumbbell. It's just how you find yourself feeling stronger inside of your own self, knowing that you're enough right as you are. Like, I hope every woman listening to this understands that they are enough right as they are. We want to encourage you to build strength, keep your bones healthy, because I need women, strong women like you in the world who have beautiful voices, who have opinions and perspectives, who want to connect with other people in the world so that we can keep connecting and actually solving like world, community issues because we need everybody's perspective. We need, and we need it coming from a place of kindness and compassion and love. But to build the confidence to speak up, to stand up.
Yes. So beautiful. Like, so perfectly said.
Thanks. I don't know. Yeah, well, thank you. But it's like, I want your confidence. I need your confidence. I know. In
Luckily, we have a lot of that. Maybe too much sometimes.
Are we cheersing?
Cheers.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Lisa, for your time today. And to learn more, can you share your website for people that want to maybe, if they're interested in getting a discovery call and learning more about your services and things like that?
So My website is EWMotion, so like evolving with motion.com. So EWMotion.com. And then you can find me on Instagram at Evolving with Motion and on Facebook at Evolving with Motion as well. So thanks for having me, Claire.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
See you at the gym.
Yes, see you there.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Mom Talk Maryland. If you loved it, leave a review, share it with a friend, or tag me at the.columbiamom on Instagram. I'd love to hear what you think. And don't forget to follow the show so you never miss an episode. Until next time, keep showing up, keep supporting local, and keep being the incredible mom, woman, human that you are.